to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
You just blowing from Stupid Town?
The great wind
of justice or
confetti party.
There was a confetti party here earlier. And then the sad part about the confetti party is the cleanup after.
Right. I was a lot more enthused about that when I, the weather was more rainy, because then it would be like, oh, I'm just going to do it outside and it'll dissolve into nothingness. And
if you do it in the house or in the garage. I was
somewhat looking at like the weather. I'm like, is it going to rain this evening? Because I thought I saw a lady say that it was. And that would be bad. But then after seeing what happens to it when it gets wet, I was like, well, because I was going to do it a lot further outside.
Which would have meant shit would have been landing on your car.
Right. Yeah. Or your car. And then I was like, well, I ain't fucking doing that.
I'm not messing with a man's car.
I ain't touching the man's car. And, I certainly wouldn't want to blow it on mine. I'm like, shit. Okay, so I'll just do it in the garage. But then, I probably should have just gone with the cake again. Okay.
I honestly don't need the cake.
Yeah, right. Fucking mistakes were made.
But I do like cake, so.
Yeah. Hey.
How's it going?
Hey.
How are you?
Well, there we go.
It's back.
Sad Dads Club podcast, episode 240.
Yeah.
I remembered that one.
Yeah, you did.
I'm the Lord Foo.
I'm Jim.
Okay. So we're going to get the heavy one.
Right out of the gate?
Heavy one out.
You sure you want to do that first?
Yeah, because like I said, there was a lot of good stuff. You have a lot of good news.
Oh, my gosh. Coming.
And I'm just doing it to keep people informed. And like I said, there's a little bit of therapy here. So, I mean, this is going on like 5 weeks. I think we talked probably 5 or so weeks back that Shiny had a grand mal seizure, and we dealt with that. And there was like a little bit of leeway time in there.
And honestly, like, I will have to say that I didn't really realize maybe the gravity of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. It wouldn't be. You wouldn't. Yeah. I wouldn't expect pretty much anyone else to. I mean, we were talking about it, and then we did mention. Then she had a vet appointment for. So we had her checked out for that. But if you're anyone who's dealt with a dog that has some sort of a seizure event, they're. I mean, relatively, they happen. Shit happens.
Yeah.
It was her. Probably her first really bad one that I've covered here, but they happen, and I've seen smaller ones between the dogs that have come and gone here in the house before. So it was, and there's nothing that us as middle income class people can really do about that. You check them in with the vet, and you say here, and they'll get blood work done.
You mean you don't have the money to get them cloned or anything?
Right. Or, the vets will certainly have suggestions for like MRIs, and there are things that are options. But
exploratory stuff,
right,
though.
But they're all diagnostic stuff. One, that are just really, really, really expensive.
Right.
And two, all they're really going to give you is
maybe a little bit of an idea.
Right. A bookend.
A rough estimate.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no,
it's not a cut and dry thing.
Right. There's not a Hallmark episode that ends well after you take your dog to get an MRI and now you've got 5 more years. Like, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Hey, man. So she then had a small event when Venus took her to get her heartworm appointment, where the dogs apparently you have to take them in order to get. Anyway, but she popped out of it. What we were told. So for that week or so, following that, we were kind of like, you really just like okay, is this an escalation thing, or
More of the same a little bit?
Right. So there was no real medication or anything that we could do. It was just like, well, you're kind of in a wait and see, and maybe she was just stressed out, and if you keep her in a low stress thing and you keep her happy, this was an outlier thing.
Yeah.
Mosquito. We had gotten a couple days, and she had essentially had another small, what they focal seizures, which is certainly not the fall over and spasm kind. It looks a lot like if you've ever seen a TV show or been around a person that's had a stroke. It almost looks like they're there, but very confused, like a fugue state. And hers seemed to also manifest like it looked like she lost full capacity over like one side of her body. Like she was like, I don't understand what's going on here. And she would go into like a limp, like she would limp, and was very uncomfortable, would never like sit all the way down, like she was unsure if she could get herself back up. So she, but then after, and here's what's stupid about science in some cases, like you could set a clock to it. You could almost set a clock to it. It was about 4.5 to 5 hours. She would have these clusters, and then at the end of this like time, she was fine. She would be fine. You would not know. And unfortunately, when she was at the vet, that time sequence was 5 to 10 minutes. She had a couple things after being home days later where that span of time for the recovery was hours. So she would spend 4 or so hours in this like stroke state where like she would want to get up and want to do things, or you could see that she would want to do something but would also realize that she was incapacitated. It was hard to watch because you're like, you could tell she's like, but the motor isn't there, kind of a thing. But then she would pull out of it, and these were like days apart where it was like, okay, like is this something we can deal with? Like, are we not doing enough? Or too much? Like, just let her be, and maybe we're checking, making sure the stuff's picked up outside, that she's not eating anything or digging up fungus or some shit. She wasn't. It's like, okay, this new normal, I guess. We'll have to just make sure Ulanzi. We started walks every night, like made her happy. Like both of them, you like go and grab the leash and happy dogs.
Go nuts.
Yep. And that's on us. Like for both dogs, because Jax is such a handful. Not that he's a bad dog.
He's large and in charge.
Right.
Yeah.
We're terrible pet owners in that regard. Our dogs would love to walk, and we were always too busy to facilitate that. And I think we kind of leaned on, well, they're both so big and so like, we don't know, and there are other dog walkers.
Yeah.
But we made a purpose and point that every night about 9:00, the whole family would grab the leashes and we would go on a walk. Happy,
in this neighborhood?
Right. Happy as a clam. We ran into no other dogs. Both of them just like, and it was a 10-minute loop. It was nothing long because we were trying to not, and plus the vet said, getting physical activity may help, like just kind of, the physical activity would be good for her. So we're on that process. Everybody's getting good walks, lots of pets, lots of love. And we kind of went a couple days of last week where it looked like we had Okay.
Eschewed it.
Man, if it's just
Walks.
walks, fucking A.
Yeah.
But the happy dad. We went and we realized that they had chewed the shit out of a couple tennis balls. Last year and something. We made a run like midweek to Dick's, and we got tennis balls, and they chewed the shit out of the new tennis balls. Happy dogs. Thursday evening, she started having a cluster event. I'm telling you, wife, you can be done. You could just skip. I'll do something. Just watch a YouTube episode. Thursday evening, about 10:30 p.m., she started to have an event. And it was like, okay. Well, and we were in bed. And it was like, okay, well, we'll just comfort. She never goes into, it's not Grand Mall. It's just she gets lost in her head. And she kind of gets her incapacitated. That spanned until about 4:45 in the morning. It was,
Oof.
And she was clear. She would whine like there was no sleep. It was Venus and I just did our best to always continually pet her to let her know that there were people there.
Do you think that's what the whining was that one night?
In hindsight, I think a lot of the stuff post that first Grand Mall where I saw her outside in the pea gravel. If I were to make a judgment based off the amount of time that I spend with the dogs, I think she was probably having
disconnects,
milder seizures.
Sure.
And when she was coming in, and I think I've covered it, she would put her nose under my arm and pet me. We've talked about this
something's wrong,
because Max kind of does it for you in a similar vein.
Yeah.
And we'll both she since the Grand Mall seemed to do that a lot more, and a lot of times, looking in hindsight, it was her coming in from outside, and she, maybe she's bored. She's coming into now I'm nice and warm in the sun. Come pet me. Prior to the really big one, that was a lot more of a playful thing. She would be laying with Jax in their two separate dog beds, and she would maybe want Jax's spot. So she was smart as fuck. She would come next to me, get me to pet her, and Jax would be like, oh
me too.
I want some. The moment he would get up off his bed, she would get into his donut and haha, she would
got it.
Yeah, got it. She would play him so hard.
Yeah.
But generally that that game that she would play was always relative to getting the spot or something that she wanted. The post big seizure thing, I think she was coming in looking more for comfort because she had one.
Sure.
Because they certainly started to happen more. And I was telling Venus a lot more oh, Shiny's in here. She's doing her needy thing. Obviously, I wasn't quite making that connection.
It's subtle.
At the time. But if I were to answer the question, I think she was probably trying to tell me
something's happening.
Something's happening.
Something's wrong.
Right. And I would always pet and give her love in the moment and comfort, but that was just because I need a break anyway.
Yeah.
She had a really long event that went into Friday. She came out of it, and Venus and I and her pretty much passed out. Neither of us had to work on Friday. Venus her work schedule was a Friday off, and I don't work Fridays. So we both pretty much slept from 4:45 till about 9. And then we got up. She got up. She was fine. Bye. We had breakfast, and I pretty much chalked off the entire day. I was like, well, I'm beat. And I know that she was probably beat because she was up too, dealing with whatever she was dealing with. And I know Venus was tired. So I'm like, I'm just going to sit here. I grabbed my iPad, phone. I was plugged in. I just sat on the corner of the couch. And then she came up and curled up next to me. And I'm like, everybody can just rest today. I got nothing to do. I'm not going to go outside and do yard work and have her follow me around everyone's yard work. That went for about an hour and a half, like just completely relaxed. And I think I went to get up just to be like, how we doing here? Like, is she? And she tried to get up off the couch, and it was just like, nope, no. And
man,
pretty much from 10:45 that morning on, she never came out of like that, I don't know what's going on, I can't move kind of thing. Like she never stopped limping. Somewhere in the evening, we did do a walk, and she was excited to do the walk, but she wasn't
struggled.
Yeah, she I'm gonna say struggled, but it was that she wasn't 100%. She made the entire walk and was happy to go. She led.
Sure.
But you could tell that she still hadn't come out of it because she had kind of like had a little hitch
in her giddy up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, well, she got up. She had facilities. She went potty. She drank some water. And then the moment she would try to relax, she would sit down and then stand up, or she would try to sit down but couldn't quite get there. It was just like always like an unsettled, not happy, not comfortable kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up calling the vet. We're like, we got video because you asked for video this time. She recommended some seizure medication for comfort, which Venus was like, okay. I'm like, we'll do it, but a zombie dog is not where we're going with this kind of thing. Like, if it eases her comfort so that she can get some rest, I'm there. Order it. We'll pay it. Can we get it? Venus got the medication. We gave her a dosage. I think then we went for the walk to try and get it into her system to like hopefully get her an opportunity to rest. She took like a small nap for maybe like 45 minutes, but then like was back to square one as far as like, and then she kind of had this like a flexed palsy kind of thing. Like she would only look right hand side. We decided about 10 p.m. Let's go to bed. And she got up onto the bed perfectly fine. Venus was like, I got some work to do. I'm going to do some work. And she said, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to sit here in bed. And if we can get some sleep, I'm going to sleep. I didn't take any electronic devices. I'm like, if she's going to curl up here in the armpit like normal and pass out, we're taking that.
Right.
Like kind of thing. And it kind of looked like the drowsiness of the seizure medication was kicking in. And I'm like, I'm okay with this. Like, if this gets us through her having an opportunity to take a rest, and perhaps it pays dividends tomorrow where she can have a normal day, good to go. That lasted about half an hour, and then she had a really bad one. And that there was no getting around, that it was like right there. So I was like holding her, trying to but it was at that point it was nothing left to do but let her go. So we took her to the emergency vet, and we had to let her go.
That's tough.
It is. And we had a lot of reflection on this one relative to Armageddon, because I think Venus and I both agreed that we had let Armageddon go too far when he didn't need to. And so when we talked about Jax and having his last set of tumors removed, it was like, we can't keep doing this to the dogs. It's not fair to them. So when Shiny had that last grand mal in the bed, I was like, it's okay.
The quality of life is...
she's not going to... Like, when you look at how the seizures are structured and the timing that was involved and that she never came out of the Thursday and Friday, it was like, you don't recover from these. You don't recover. And she can't speak. She can't say anything. It's just not fair. It's an absolutely terrible and gut-wrenching feeling.
That's devastating.
To have to make that call.
It is.
You asked me when we had to let Armageddon go if the other dogs knew or could tell. Jax is not. He can tell. Like something, he's still like, please turn off the wife. Jax still like looks at the door, like, where's the other one? Like, where's my buddy?
Yeah.
Will go to her dog bed and sniff it. Like, where's my buddy?
Bro.
Where's my buddy?
Something's missing.
I loved. We're having this talk with Piper last night. Armageddon was very, very special, but I think when we had to let him go, Venus and I were so exhausted that it probably took some of the pain away because we were just flat out tired. Neither of us were getting a lot of sleep.
Right.
As I was telling Piper, I said, I didn't realize it until we were, I had probably a good hour on Saturday, kind of just to myself, just to kind of like introspect.
Mm-hmm.
We were having a talk with her last night, and I said, I've had a dog here in the house, like I would say somewhere near 19 years. I work from home. Like, I'm a firm believer that your identity is like a amalgamation of your people you hang out with, the experiences you have, whatever your internal chemistry is. All of those things like help make you. And while I would say I'm a dog, like people will say I'm a dog person, I'm a cat person. Like, I'm a dog person, but there is a special twist to me because dogs have in the last 20-something years have been a part of my day-to-day environment. Like,
it's part of you.
Right.
Yeah.
They are part of me.
Yeah.
So when you take away the exhaustion part of Armageddon and the shock and awe that we had with Genesis, because it was so fast, it was like less than 6 hours from 0 to...
right.
Whereas you take those lessons and then you put in Shiny's experience, it is not a paraphrase to say that I was hurt.
Yeah.
Like that one hurts. Still hurts.
Yeah.
And then kind of what takes away, or it doesn't take away, what adds to it is that I can see that Jax is a misser, and two, the family as a whole. One, Xander was still, I think, a little too young for Armageddon, even though it wasn't that long ago, 2 years maybe. Xander, it really hit Xander. Certainly Piper too, not to diminish, but when you look at how they reacted to Armageddon passing, both of the kids are at that age where all of a sudden they're not just pets, and I forgot to feed the dogs. They are
family members.
They're family.
Yeah.
So the impact that's had on Xander specifically was like hard as a dad because you knew it was important to him. Shiny and Jax are just different dogs too. Shiny, if someone had to say, associate a word with Shiny, and I think it would be safe to say everyone in the house would say comfort. Like she's like a comfort blanket. She was just happy to just lay with you and just emotional support dog. Jax, like Armageddon, is beta to my alpha. So he tends to follow me regardless all around the house. Like wherever I go, he goes. And Shiny by proxy, because if someone else wasn't in the house taking a nap or sitting or under a blanket, she would follow me also. So Venus and Piper have a special association with Shiny because she's like when they're out doing something, she's just cuddling. If they're reading a book or something, she's just cuddling. So when Jax doesn't do those things because he's a different...
You're missing a...
Right. There is a big hole missing. And it fits in the spot between Venus and I, certainly when we sleep. So now it is like, oh man, like that's... So you would think, oh, well, there's one less dog in the bed. But the discomfort of not having that thing that was there is almost just as disruptive as...
Right. It's a reminder. It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this one will take some time.
Yeah.
This one will take some time. And if you ever had been to the house and you had an opportunity to share her space or feel her love, you're better off for it. I promise you. She was a fantastic dog and a good friend, and I will miss her a lot.
Yeah, sorry that's happening, or that's happened.
That I got way further than I thought I would get in that.
Well, that's a big bummer. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. And with, let's see, how did I want to do that? Let's see. This is Holden with Lord Foo News. Holden my dick with Caddy News.
What the?
Do we have an update on the Cadillac?
We do.
Do we?
No update.
No. Oh,
I'm just kidding.
God
Actually, I got my car back.
he got the car.
I got it on Friday. Which kind of leads into the next story, but got the car on Friday, had an opportunity to maybe drive it to Tahoe.
Yeah.
But did not because unsure of repair.
Right.
But got it back. And took my daughter to the airport with it. Sunday, have ripped it around town every day, a little bit here and there.
So the final culmination of the things that they handled.
So when I picked it up, he told me that they had replaced one of the injectors again. The injector.
Okay.
Just to ensure that it wasn't an injector problem, they did replace it.
Okay.
They said they ate that cost.
Okay.
Then the final issue turned out to be the wiring harness. So the engine management wiring harness that runs from the ECU out to the motor.
Okay.
Which handles all of the sensors, the wastegate actuator, all of the injectors, all the shit.
Yeah.
So all of those things were managed by this harness. And as it turns out that the harness had a crack in it on the connector end.
Mm-hmm.
And water had gotten into the crack and infiltrated the wiring, which caused it to rust or whatever, turn green, corrode.
Yeah.
And then now your wire can't carry as much voltage as it needs, thus the low voltage issue that we were seeing.
Yeah.
So they initially, what happened is they tried to, they didn't, I don't know if they noticed the crack right away, but the connector that has the pins, like, the male pins inside of it, they have some special cleaning solution. He told me what it was called, but I don't remember.
Deoxit?
I don't know.
Okay.
And he said he cleaned all the pins up real good, and then he put it back, and then they test drove it. And he said that it got to the point to where it would drive fine, but then throw random codes, and then sometimes the wastegate actuator would actuate even when it wasn't supposed to.
Oh.
So, like, if you were on boost, you were suddenly now you didn't have any boost.
Right.
Yeah. So it's essentially now a leak, and it
Right.
shouldn't have been doing that. So they were having these problems. They couldn't figure out why. And then they realized, this harness, this connector has a crack in it, and water had gotten down inside. And that's where the issue lay. So that's what the last update was, that they were waiting on the harness, was 7 to 10 days for it to be delivered. And then they had to install it and then test drive it. And so Friday, I had a meeting with my boss at like 9:30 and talked to him. And he's like, "Did you get your car back?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't heard anything." And he's like, "Oh, darn it." And he gets it because he's had a couple of these kind of issues with a couple trucks that he's owned over the years.
Okay.
And then, like, about an hour after that phone call, I get a call. "Your car is ready to be picked up." So, yeah, got it home. I left there and like ripped around town, went and filled it with gas, got on Highway 65 and like just got into it a few times.
Yeah.
It runs nice and smooth. Like, you can tell the difference between how it ran before I dropped it off and how it runs now, because everything's kicking on all the wires.
Okay.
And I was just a little unsure though. Like I said, had an opportunity to drive it to Tahoe on Friday night. But chose not to because of the gravity of that situation.
Right.
Didn't want to be the one to fuck all that up.
Right.
So I did not. We ended up taking my wife's car, and it was fine because, man, the roads in Tahoe are horrific. Yeah. They are just torn up. They are all potholed like crazy.
We're talking about, a lot of people don't realize the byproduct of the amount of snow that we've had.
Yeah.
Like, California roads are already shit.
True.
But the amount of precipitation that we got, hot, cold, rain, snow, freeze, like on that stuff up there, only is going to exacerbate problematic stuff.
Cars with chains and studded tires and snow tires. Those are all super hard on the the roads in general, and then freeze cycles and everything else. So the roads up there are terrible. And you know what I was surprised about? We've had this gnarly record snowfall and rainfall in this area. I could not believe, as we drove up Highway 50, how little snow there was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, on Highway 50, when you get to Twin Bridges,
yes,
and then there's that kind of uphill, and you go past the snow park, and then you kind of come up to the peak.
Yeah.
That snow park area is where the snow really started on the side of the road. Before that, there wasn't any snow. And then even then, as you crest over, there's homes and stuff up there.
Yeah.
There were some places, if it was shady, where you could see piles of fucking snow.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was mostly gone. The other thing that I hadn't seen, and I don't know that I've ever seen it like this before, but the river, is it the South Fork of the American River that runs through there?
Yes.
Raging.
Wow.
Raging. That
Nice.
snowmelt is insane. And how often the water, the snowmelt runs across the road,
Mhm.
and as you drive through
Yeah.
some nutty amount of water that's flowing. It's insane how much of that there is and how much water is in the South Fork of the American River.
I gotta see.
Mind-boggling how much water was flowing through there.
Did you come back 80?
No, we came back 50.
I was gonna say
I wanted
love to
to.
see Truckee. I'd love to see the Truckee River.
I really wanted to, but it was like one of those things where we were running out of time because we had dinner plans.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had gone the other way, which would have taken an extra hour and a half or so, like driving around the lake to get to 80, we probably wouldn't have made it. So I'm glad we didn't, but I really wanted to.
Yeah.
In fact, I had like pitched that to I want to do this, and they're like, okay. And then at the last minute, I'm like,
we won't make it.
Kind of looking at the time and going, well, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be a little early if we go 50, but if we go 80, we won't make it on time. The reason why we went to Tahoe...
I was going to say, he hasn't been here since like season 1, so why were you in Tahoe?
Yeah, so Data's, who used to be part of the show when we first started it up, my son, Data's, Chandler, he got engaged on Friday.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do a special thing, and it was like he did a really good job. He planned it all out.
Yeah.
It was a huge surprise for her. She had no idea what was happening.
I was gonna say I haven't heard that part. So
Yeah.
she no idea.
So let's go back to the beginning. First of all, he's been adamant about doing it the right way. So he had talked about like, oh, I want to get married. And first of all, I'm just like, wow, really? Okay. But he decided he wanted to ask for permission from her parents.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem is she's hard to like pull one on. She looks at locations on her phone a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she follows everyone in the houses, or her family, like her parents and everybody's locations. Like they all share their locations with each other. So Chandler had to like work around all this kind of stuff. So he came up with this scheme where one of Kirsten and Billy is a close friend of Nicole, his now fiance's family.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had them get a hold of Nicole's parents and make dinner plans. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they made a reservation at a restaurant, and then when that time came, Chandler would go to the restaurant and they would just go somewhere else for dinner, have their own dinner date. And then Nicole's parents would show up and be like, what the fuck are you doing here? Which is basically what happened.
Right.
And then that's how he asked for permission from them. It was really cool. So he hid his location by putting his main location on like his iPad.
Mm-hmm.
So his phone wasn't the main location anymore.
Right.
Smart, right?
Yes.
So he worked all this stuff out, got permission. They were excited. Then
like they said yes.
Yes, they were very excited. They were happy.
We don't like you.
They seem to really like Chandler. We really like Nicole. It's great.
It works.
It does. It works really well. So very exciting. He's got permission. Him and my wife had gone to Shane Company, and he had picked out a ring, and then he was making payments on it and like paid it off and got the ring. So he had a ring, and we all went with him to pick it up last week sometime. And then, so then it was time to plan for the proposal.
Right.
So first of all, he wanted to propose to her. They had a trip just recently with Nicole's parents and sisters and boyfriends to Disneyland. They went to Disneyland together. and he wanted to propose to her at Disneyland. That weekend happened to also be part of the reason why they went was for Nicole's mom's birthday.
Oh, okay.
There was kind of a stink that arose.
Well, you don't want to squat your proposal on mom's birthday?
Yeah, from one of the sisters.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, like, whatever.
Might have been a really good birthday gift for mom, I'm just saying.
Yeah, mom, when she heard about that, was kind of excited. She thought it would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But Chandler, okay, I don't want to, like, cause any drama.
Right.
So he backed out of that idea. So then he was trying to figure out how to plan it to do some other way. So he's like, I want to do it in Tahoe. And it first started out in North Shore, and then it became, let's do South Shore. So essentially the plan was he had to get her up to Tahoe.
I was going to say, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So what he did is he booked a room at the Base Camp Hotel right on State Line. Right. And then he told Nicole that, hey, Dave, my manager, his wife got COVID, and she knew that. So he's like, hey, Dave's wife got COVID, and he has this room that is paid for, and they can't get their money back at base camp. Do you want to go and use it? And of course she's like, yeah, sure. So that's how he's getting her up to Tahoe. And then all of the rest of the family, I mean, my wife has been like buying all these like trinkets and things and lights and all this kind of kit. And so we all met. The plan was to go to Nevada Beach, which is right on the other side of State Line in Nevada.
Yeah.
So we were going to go to Nevada Beach and set up all the stuff. So this was myself, my wife, my daughter, who also was in town, Nicole's parents, the sisters, the boyfriend, one of Chandler's best friends, and one of Nicole's best friends.
Oh, it's a party, baby.
Yeah, a lot of people, right?
Oh, everybody knows but you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we did. We all met at the beach area.
Yeah. And
then carried all this stuff down. Well, Chandler like convinced Nicole, hey, first of all, I want you to wear something nice. Let's go on a scooter / skateboard ride. There's a cool trail that goes down to this beach this way. And so he just gets her to agree. Like there were a couple times where it's like, put on something nice or it gets the hose. I want to take some pictures, right?
Right. Okay.
Sunset's coming. Let's do some fun pictures. Let's do some cool pictures. So he gets her to do that. And so Shan had this whole thing like laid out. And so we were there, like Shan was setting it up like crazy. And I don't know what the fuck her vision is, but she has one. So, and also we had our dog.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So we set it all up, and we're watching location because they're on their way.
Right.
And we're all hiding behind trees, right, on the beach.
You fucking deviants.
And we're like looking at his location, and it doesn't look like he's fucking moving. And sometimes it actually looks like he's moving off into the woods. And we're like, what the fuck is going on? And so it turns out that from all the snow melt, there's a fucking swamp that sits on top of the bike trail.
Oh.
So they were hiking around with an electric skateboard and an electric scooter around the swamp.
Ah.
So it was taking a lot longer than we expected, which actually worked out timing-wise perfectly.
Because Max had to shit.
Yeah. And Nicole's dad... some people are on the beach right near where we were setting this thing up. And he says, hey, would you guys be willing to take some pictures when they arrive? Right. And then ends up giving them, when all is said and done, he gives them, can I buy you guys dinner? And gives them like $60 to buy dinner. So anyway, we're all hiding behind trees and we're waiting and we're looking at the location. They're getting closer. It's like, where the fuck are? And then all of a sudden you can spot them coming. Oh shit. And we're all like taking pictures, like trying to hide. And Nicole has no idea. She has an inkling something's up.
Yeah.
but she doesn't know. And she said she was like looking for people. And then she said she saw the setup on the beach, and then she said something to Chandler like, "Oh, that's kind of cool."
Oh, someone's doing
and
something.
Who's that for? And Chandler's just like, "I don't know."
We should use it to take pictures.
And then he knew that there was somebody supposed to be taking pictures, but he didn't know who it was.
Mm-hmm.
So he walked by somebody that was nearby and thought that they were the people, and he like gave him a big smile, and they weren't the people,
Yeah.
which was pretty funny. And then they showed up, and he
like,
did his thing, and then he would signal to us when it was okay, and then we all like came out from the trees.
Ah, good times.
Yeah, and it was cool.
I presume she also said yes because...
as far as I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. It was really neat. And then we all like took a ton of pictures because the sun was going down, and right there at the lake, But Tahoe's I love that lake. It's a bittersweet kind of place because it's so awesome. It's so beautiful to visit. But a lot of times, like especially if you go in the summer, it's just there's way too many people up there.
Yeah.
It's very impacted by people.
I had just seen too that they're at what is like a record amount of, well, for recent like modern 20, 30 years, clarity.
Oh, from all the snow.
Yeah.
From all the water.
Whatever the little crustacean plankton thing is that helps get its record clarity.
Yeah.
Have started to flourish and come back.
Oh.
It's not quite where it used to be. I think it was like 80, 90 something feet, and now they're somewhere about 50, 60.
Okay.
So,
which is kind of impressive given the amount of activity around that size of a lake with the boat activity and the people in the shores and everything. That's pretty amazing.
Yes, it is. It is I mean, if you can get around the potholes part, it is that the whole, like I saw the one couple, well, I looked at the entire album, but the one that he posted as far as news to our Discord, like the mountain, the snow-capped mountains in the background,
it was impressive.
I am sure that was even better.
Yeah.
In person.
It's that lake is just gorgeous, especially when you got some snow on the mountains. And
did you know that you were in that shot?
I was?
No, it looks totally funny because it is a gorgeous shot. You are in the frame right hand side with a camera up at your face.
Okay.
Like taking a picture, and I went, I can't tell if that's the joke.
No,
because
I didn't know.
it is I mean, the mount, everything is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I went, I think his dad's fucking with him. Like, oh my God.
No, I had no idea.
It's funny. It's funny.
No one said get the fuck out of the way, Jim. So I don't know.
We can Photoshop. Like, there's all kinds of stuff.
That's true. So we all cleaned up, and then we hiked it up to the cars.
Right.
And then we went back. Like people went and threw stuff in rooms. We'd got a room for the night.
Yeah.
Also at base camp, and right close to base camp on the corner there, like
I would say,
right across the street. Like we were on the state line, so Harvey's is on this side, and then on the other side of that state line street is a place called McPee's. It's like a sort of an Irish pub.
Yes.
Walking distance from base camp, like literally like a block or less than a block away.
I think
right on the corner of 50 and State Line.
Yes.
And so we sat outside there at a table that has a big fucking fire in the middle of it.
Nice.
And had dinner and drinks, and I think there was 12 of us.
Yeah.
And just enjoyed the time, and then that's it. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then the next day we got up and like went to the lake, and Melanie had some content she wanted to make for her Squish stuff, which was the beach. If you just keep going down that state line road, it ends up at the beach, and you can park and use the beach there. And we just hung out there for a couple hours, like just hanging out at the beach.
Yeah.
And then we packed up and the kids had eaten, so Melly and Shan and I had lunch, and then we all left town.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
It's-
Unexpected, because
it's-
we didn't know that was going to happen. We didn't know it was going to be Friday, really.
Oh.
It wasn't really planned that way.
Yeah.
Because he was looking at a couple of weeks in the future
Yeah.
to do it like in Truckee or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the timeline kind of got pushed up because Melly was still home
Yeah.
and he wanted her to be there. So it worked out. It was fun.
It's good that both families,
yeah.
like,
Yeah. They're
mesh.
super nice folks.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's Nicole, and she's got 2 sisters, and one of the other girls is engaged, and he seems like a cool dude, you know. And then on Sunday, we went to a barbecue at their house and had hamburgers and hung out.
So we can shift gears to there. So he, was it Saturday? I think it's Saturday. He was picking our brains about smoking.
Yeah.
And he was asking, like, what temperature do you smoke at? And both of us are like, as low as you can do it.
Was that Saturday? No, that was Sunday. The
Was
barbecue was
it
on
Sunday?
I think it was on Sunday.
So early Sunday, we were talking about smoking.
Yeah.
And he had just bought a Pit Boss that does it's got the pellets.
Yeah.
And the remote and the auger, and it does
Wi-Fi and
it's
all
the
the
shit.
Bluetooth or
all
whatever.
the
I don't even know.
zoos and wham-whams.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think the week prior, Venus and I were at Lowe's, and we looked like up and down the aisle. I was really looking at the Blackstone griddles.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I don't want one of these. Like, I don't want to be able to do pancakes and like.
Oh yeah.
And like, I would like the round one, but really it makes more sense to have the Blackstone.
I mean, you can get a griddle for your regular grill.
You can, but I would like to have something that was purpose built, dedicated for.
Yeah.
So we had fucked around in the aisles, looking like, well, we really wouldn't need this size. Like this size works because.
Yeah.
And like, where we put it, and we'd have to get rid of your little bench, your gardening bench that's on the back patio. No, well, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, okay, well, down the road when we get other things, like we'll take it. And then we were walking up down the pellet aisle. I'm like, I'm taking some of the lids. I didn't have a lot of confidence in. They're like some like scissor collapsing thing. I'm like, I'm probably still sold on like a Green Mountain thing, but I was impressed with the Pit Bosses, and I know that they do well competing against the Traegers, as far as I know.
Well, my understanding is Traeger was purchased by another company, and since they've been purchased by another company, they still have the Traeger brand name, but the quality has like really started to
news
dip.
to me.
That's what I've heard.
I'm not a personal fan, but my dad has one, and Randy has one, my sister's fiance. But the price point tends to be like an off-put for me. Like, absolutely. I don't need to spend that much money. Data's got a Pit Boss.
Yeah.
So he had cooked a tri-tip like the first night he had it.
Yeah.
And I've been like trying to nag it. I'm like, well, how the fuck was it? Like, it never seemed, either I missed it or he was busy doing an engagement. Fucking dick. I'm like, how was it?
Yeah. He didn't really mention it to me either, like how if the tri-tip worked out.
So he had checked in with us about like smoking stuff.
Yeah.
What do I need for smoking noms?
Yeah.
What temperature? So I'm like, well, you do it as low as you can for about an hour, and you kind of play it by ear, but it's like a chef. You're going to have to figure it out. Like your unit is going to be.
What you have to figure out, it's a little trial and error at first.
Right.
What works for you and your equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
what
I
told
You
had yours and I had mine, and
right.
we kind of thing. And I said, +2 for mine, I have the detachment thing, so I can like take essentially a large dryer vent and set my smoke, and I can do the cheeses and whatnot. But in searching for, like, in the middle of that conversation with him, I type in cold smoke attachment Pit Boss. And that takes me to the Pit Boss site where they have like advertised the amazing the amazing smoke tube.
Okay.
Okay, and essentially it's a collapsible stainless steel tube.
Dryer vent.
That's about, I don't know, how would you describe that? Like a French baguette, in like size.
Okay.
As far as diameter, so it's kind of like an oval, like a football. And you fill it with the wood pellets, and you get it started. You light it on fire, and the thing smokes. And because it's a small thing, you can put this thing. The pit bosses advertise it like you could just put this in your grill, and you get the smoke.
So you don't have to have a pit boss.
Right. You don't have to
put it in anything.
And so I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like reading about it. I'm like, oh, well, there you go. Like, and I copy the link.
Yeah.
I copied the link. I sent it to your son. I'm like, this is how you would cold smoke stuff. Like if 180 is the lowest your element and your burning of your pellets will go, and you want to do cheeses, you ain't going to get cheeses. You're going to turn
melty.
You're going to melt shit in your. But you can use this, and I kind of that conversation. I put the link in, and I was working Sunday.
Yeah.
So I kind of let that go, but I had it up on a window, and I hit a lunch break, and I'm like looking at it again. I'm like, man, that does look handy. Like, I was thinking, now on my barbecues, the two that I have dealt with. Essentially, I have like a tray, of varying metals. So I've had like a cast iron version, and then I had just like a galvanized, a stainless steel tub. You put wood chips in it, and you put it over a burner, and it smokes. I'll be 100% fucking blunt. Like, that never seems to give me consistent smoke.
Nope.
And so often, it's just a tray of wood shit that sits there that I don't ever heat because I never get smoke.
Yeah.
I never get smoke.
Never worked for me. I had one too.
Sometimes you gotta soak the chips.
No.
Yeah, fucking.
It didn't work.
If I want something smoked the last 10 to 15 years, and then I'm barbecuing, I put it in my smoker, and then I transfer it to the grill, and that's my process. Putting something on one of my barbecues to get it to smoke was a never winning solution. Non-starter. But so I've got this thing. I'm like, well, fucking it seems like it would do. I don't have any pellets though, and I'm not buying a pellet barbecue just to. So I'm like, fucking whatever.
Because that's what you need is another bag of something.
Right. Your son then, like, hours later, basically says, I went to Lowe's and I got one, and it's going, this thing's a shit. And I almost bought you one, but, and I went, well, fucking. In that meantime, I pull up YouTube episodes, and there is no shortage of accolades for this product.
Oh, really?
I'm like, okay. Here's what I'll do for science.
I'll go get one.
I need a break. I'm still in like confused pain mode anyway from Shiny on Sunday.
You need retail therapy.
Right. I'm gonna go get it. I need to get out of the house and go. I'm gonna go buy something. I planted a bunch of nice flowers in here. It's like a sad shrine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I gotta go to Lowe's anyway. And since your son said he went to Lowe's and bought one, I'm like, well, they have them at Lowe's. So I was sold on it. Like, I'm going to give this thing a shot. It's like 25. It's under $30, I want to say. I'm grabbing it. I grab it, and I'm trying to convince my wife about how awesome this is going to be.
Is she with you?
Yeah, she's with me.
And she's like, what?
She's like, okay. Well, we need barbecue spices, too. So we get a barbecue spice. And that's not how my wife talks. # I love my wife.
I beg to differ.
Yeah. Oh shit, dude. It's out here now. So then I'm like, okay, so I do need the pellets.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for the pellets. Like, where the fuck are the pellets? Really, the thing is like a 12-inch collapsible tube. So I don't have a pellet barbecue. I just need
a small bag,
like a 1 pound bag. It doesn't exist. Like all of the bags are like maybe like a 10-pound bag of pellets. And
maybe at like Sportsman's Warehouse or something.
they might,
Yeah.
but I was like, I'm not. And then I'm still in pain, sadness mode. I'm like, I don't really need this. I'm just gonna plant these flowers, and that'll be special. And this is for me. I don't need this for me. I'm not buying fucking. I don't think the pellet bag was even really all that expensive.
Yeah.
It was just that I was gonna have a small dog food bag of pellets that I would use for this small device, and would probably last me like 3 fucking years. And I'm like,
And what kind of pellets were you buying? Or did they have an option?
They had variants. They
Yeah,
had
okay.
a assorted amount of fruit woods
Okay.
and mesquite. So I back out.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what?
Cold feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a working smoker. I probably, the rain looked like it was going to go from hurricanes to drought to scorching heat. I'm like,
Tornadoes.
who knows when I'm going to have a chance to barbecue to actually test it. I don't need it. I put it back. We kept the barbecue spice. We kept the plants, and I bitched and moaned about the size of wood pellets not having a tester size kind of thing to my wife, who was in her grieving and was probably not happy
even listening.
Yeah, not even listening to me bitch and moan about wood pellet bags. To then, was it Monday? Monday, your son. I think I said something like, "Yeah, I put it back."
Yeah, you did.
I did. I said I did. I told everybody I put it back.
Yep.
Monday, your son, while I'm on a walk, he sends me a thing like basically, "Hey, are you around?" Like, yeah, I'm on a walk. I'm going to be like 30 minutes or so. And I got back from my walk.
And at that point, are you going, come on, man, what the fuck do you want?
Right. Well, I had an inclination of like what, given the news that when I got back to the house, like I had just beat them into the house, and I think I actually walked past them because the way they had swung around.
Yeah.
Because they didn't see me, but I walked right in, and I told Venus, I'm like, I just got a thing from Data's about 30 minutes ago, like that he was going to stop by. I don't know what he's going to ask, but I have a hint based off what he said Sunday that he may, in like a, hey man, I hope you feel better, he may have gotten the tube.
Oh.
And she went, oh, okay. I'm like, I don't know what good it's going to do me without the fucking pellets. And I went on my 5-minute rant about the bag size of the fucking pellet bags again.
Fucking pellets.
And she's like, anyway, then the Ring camera goes off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, they're yeah, it was them. They're parked right outside. So I open up the garage door. I give them the Phantom confetti cannon because I was like, I got 5 of these things. I might as well use one on the newly engaged couple. Only to then have it not spray confetti. He had the tube in his hand, and I went, "Oh man, thank you so much." And he opens up the back, and it was a bag of pellets.
The same bag you probably put back.
It may have been, and I went, "Oh, well, I'm thanking him up and down, and really appreciate it." And I said, "So have you? Did you try the mesquite one too?" And he went, "What?" And I went, "Well, it's mesquite." He's like, "Fuck! I thought it was cherry." He went and like picked up a bag thinking it was cherry, but someone had stacked mesquite. I'm like, "Oh, don't fucking worry about." So your son wasn't? He was just grabbing fucking bags,
Right?
First world problems.
Sure.
And then he had asked. He's like, he had asked if I would officiate his wedding. It's like, this is really in thanks, in hopes that you would officiate the wedding in next October.
A year from October.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm like, I'm getting prototype in here in Fiji in June, but absolutely. I'm super honored. He's like, he said they were loosely talking about some of the early conversations about how to do some of the stuff. And he said, Nicole, like, who are we going to get to? Because we're not having this shit in the church.
Right.
And I think he said he mentioned that I had the the $5 thing, and I went, I paid $25, so that way I had the certificate and the card.
Right.
So I'm excited.
Cool.
I'm super excited.
I think he had already bought it when you said you were gonna go get it, and then you put it back.
Oh, really?
He had already bought it. He's like, yeah, I'm just glad he didn't get it.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he lucked out.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, could have sold it on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, he's they've been pretty thoughtful on some of the stuff that they're planning. I guess my wife's been put in charge of decor stuff.
Oh, for wherever, whenever?
For the wedding. In fact, before I came to the show, we had to go to Rockland to buy something. I don't know, somebody found on Facebook Marketplace, and they were like boards that you can write on, you know?
Okay.
Like a framed board with chalk.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a couple of those. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
no.
we had to go pick those up in Rockland.
Yeah, when he said, well, I think with Venus said come out too to like congratulate them. And they had said, like, when you're looking at, and he said in the moment, he said, next October, both of them, next October. And we're kind of like, oh, she loosely mentioned like Old Sugar Mill, like a location, options.
Yeah.
And cool. You know, I'm still flattered to be considered. So I'm kind of like not really asking questions and giving them their space and whatnot. And we, say our goodbyes, congratulations again. And we get inside. And I think after dinner, I'm like, wait, like this October or 2024 October?
Yeah.
And Venus goes, I think 2024. And I went, well, yeah, but we did hot wedding too. Like it was proposal. We were within the same year. I'm like, maybe they, oh shit. And I sent him a direct. I'm like, hey man,
just want to make sure.
Just double check on. Are you guys on the fast track?
Or the next year track?
Or the next year track. He's like, oh, yeah, 2024. I'm like, frick, that's it. I was just...
Yeah.
Because, anyway. So, 2024, awesome. Big year for them. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I'm super happy for both of them.
They seem to be pretty excited, both of them. Nicole's is like, oh, yeah, and I got engaged, you know.
It looked like a dark stone.
Yeah,
what was it?
Sapphire.
Was it?
Yeah, black sapphire.
Nice.
And then it's got, it's a single black sapphire, and then on the band there's like sapphires and diamonds, like, every other.
Cool.
Across the top. Pretty ring.
Yes, it was very pretty.
Yeah.
I just didn't know the stone that was.
Yeah. Originally they were looking at doing, what's another black stone? Some other kind of stone, but they don't carry those because they're too soft.
Oh.
So sapphire is more hardy stone, doesn't break as easy.
I wear the
onyx or something.
I wear the silicone ones now, so I don't know anything about the.
Anyway, yeah, but yeah, pretty cool. I thought different. I hadn't seen a ring with a black stone in it like that.
I'm trying to. Dragon has a really pretty, I'm going to say non-conventional, but in like the best way possible. I think hers is shit. I think she has like some purple stone in it.
I've seen pictures of it, but I don't recall.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
I'm pretty sure it's purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very pretty too.
Yeah.
Like they had that one
it was
custom
like full
designed.
custom made. Yeah.
Anyway, we are very much at time.
All right. We got a little bad stuff. We got some good stuff. So.
It'll all be good. It's always sad to lose a friend.
Yeah.
But it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you don't feel bad, then it wasn't worth it. Wait, what?
I mean, it's true.
Wait, what's the saying? I don't know.
Yeah.
Better to have loved and lost than to have never loved.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
Or something.
I mean, I don't like the pain, but it was worth every moment.
I could hit you with a baseball bat if you want. Would that help?
Man.
I'll run fucking fast.
Those Cutwaters?
Yeah.
3 of those, that'll take the pain, man.
A bottle of whiskey?
Yeah.
That'll...
Holy shit. And I I was sitting in the fucking office. I was trying to shoot aliens in the face after like the 3rd one. And I'm like, nope, this is... I ended up writing...
I'd like to see your shooting aliens in the face stats after that.
It was terrible. I like wrote like a page of like... I think I was inspired with like Data's, this will probably end up playing out with Dragon and Mike in Fiji, but like partnerships and marriage and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, damn, this is deep. It's probably all spelt wrong and I won't be able to read it, but I was like, inspired.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're getting deep. Speaking of getting deep,
you should return the cart.
You should wash your ass.
Wash your hands.
Check your oil, Tony.
Get the shot.
Register
to vote.
Make the call.
That's close enough. Well, love your pets.
And do the kindness.
We'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.